To the single women of America, I have one thing to say. You shaved your legs for this? I happened to catch sight of an infographic at the Huffington Post that documented when women orgasm in a hookup. It was an online survey of college women, which means that it is enormously suspect to begin with. First, it's a survey, so we have to discount by at least 50%. Second, it was an online survey, so we discount by another 50%. Third, it was a survey of college women. These would be the women who mistake unhappy, drunken sex for rape, that a boy gets drunk and a girl gets drunk and they collide into each other and end up having sex, but somehow or another only one of them was raped and the other was a rapist. Taking the opinions of college women might be ill-advised. But the interesting thing about the survey was that it was a survey of hookups involving vaginal sex. There are exactly two kinds of hookups, and the good kind is the one where the drunken guy passes out before he spews on the face of the drunken girl. That's the second kind, the good kind. There is no third kind involving vaginal sex. So we have a survey. We know that people lie on surveys all the time. Are the women who took this survey over-reporting or under-reporting their orgasms involving hookups involving vaginal sex? My guess is that they're massively over-reporting the instance of vaginal sex in their lives to begin with. So it's a very funny and remarkable chart, and it just gets funnier. So when do women have orgasms when they get involved in hookups? Well, the answer would be never have orgasms. And of course, they never have orgasms because they never have vaginal sex. But even if they actually get to vaginal sex, it still turns out that they never have orgasms. If the guy has slept with you 6 or more times, he's actually your boyfriend, although he denies it because it's still a hookup, even though you're sleeping with him for 6 or more times. Even then, your chances of having an orgasm are only 51%. If you, ladies, if you hook up with a guy that you don't want to be your boyfriend, your chance of having an orgasm is only 37%. But if you do want him to be your boyfriend, that number soars to a huge 45%. Of course, the problem is all yours. The secret to selling any sort of magazine content is convincing you that there's something wrong with you that can only be corrected by buying more magazines. What's wrong with you? Well, it turns out that it's not enough butt sex. You're just not slutty enough. You've been amazingly slutty so far, and it's not been satisfying to you, and the lack of satisfaction that you're experiencing in your relationships has nothing to do with the low quality of the relationship. Oh no, it's because you're not slutty enough. I want to talk to you about happily married sex. I am a happily married man, and my wife and I have a very happy sex life, and I don't know if our sex life is typical of happily married couples, and I don't think that happily married couples are all that terribly typical, but we have a very, very, very good sex life, and it has always been good for us. Our marriage has had its ups and downs, but our sex life has always been good, and when our marriage is really good, then our sex life is amazingly good, and we've been living in that kind of a zone for years now. So I wanted to talk to you about what happily married sex looks like. How often do we have sex? 4 or 5 times a week on average. I'm underreporting all of these numbers, but on average we're 4 or 5 times a week. How long do we spend having sex with each other, actually playing with our naked sex parts? Somewhere between 15 and 45 minutes typically. 7 minutes for a quickie, and sometimes we tear one off. Other times we can make love for hours on end. Sometimes when we have the time, we can make love for hours on end, every day for days on end. But 15 to 45 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week. What is her chance of having an orgasm when we have sex with each other? 100%. What is her chance of having more than one orgasm when we have sex together? 100%. What is her chance of having more than 10 orgasms? She can't count them, and I typically don't, but just to put a number on it, I would say 90% of the time she's going to be having more than 10 orgasms. What is her chance of having more orgasms than she can count? Again, just to put a number on it, I would say 80%, but it's by far the majority of the times that we make love with each other, she ends up having more orgasms than she can count. Frankly, she counts it as one, that she just has one orgasm that lasts for a long time. How many orgasms do I have when we make love? 1. How many orgasms does the guy have when the girl hooks up and gets nothing out of it? Well, if he doesn't pass out, he has one. How many does she have? Zero. How many does a happily married woman have? As many as she wants. How many could she have in a year? I could easily see 2,500. If I'm lucky, I'll have 250, but she could easily have 2,500. And so my question for single women in particular is, you shaved your legs for this? Why? If you're not getting this kind of lovemaking in your relationships, you need better relationships. Work on that.